Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning and happy Monday. The time is just about 6:01. Let's check in with meteorologist Kelly McShane for a look at your forecast this morning. And Kelly, it's going to be a little bit of a rainy one too from what you were saying. Ugh.
Yeah, unfortunately we're going to start off the week on a soggy note, fitting for your Monday. But overall, grab that rain gear before you head out the door because it's going to be a little bit soggy. But right now, all is dry over in Jenkins, US 119, US 23. Not too much traffic out there this morning, but heading over to Whitesburg, still pretty calm over there in Letcher County. But then heading to Satellite and Radar, that's when we start to see a little bit of action, especially into our western counties. That rainfall will continue to move east, and so just be sure to grab the rain gear and grab the jacket because we are a little bit chilly out there. Temperatures in the upper 40s to lower 50s, some places in the lower 40s, so just be sure to bundle up this morning and grab the rain gear. Connor will have that full forecast in just a little bit.
Thanks, Kelly. Well, Parkland, Florida suffers another loss. 2 students from the area took their own lives within the past week. John Lawrence reports.
More heartbreak after last year's fatal rampage at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School.
The trauma associated with what happened on February 14th last year is not over for this community.
14 students and 3 staff members were killed in the shooting. And now 2 students at the school, at least one who survived the massacre, took their own lives within the last week. It's not clear if the latest apparent suicide was related to the attack. The news comes as the community mourns Sydney Aiello, who died last Sunday.
This is a new normal for the MSD, Parkland, and Coral Springs communities. And we just have to recognize that. We can't go back to February 13th as much as we'd like to.
Parents and county officials held an emergency meeting Sunday night. The main issue, how to prevent additional suicides.
Know that you are not alone. There are so many people who care and so many people who are here to help.
Another message stressed, keeping the lines of communication open is vital.
So parents have to have very frank discussions with their children right now. And I think the students need to have frank discussions with each other.
The gunman behind the February 2018 shooting was a former student at Stoneman Douglas. He confessed to the crime and was indicted on 17 murder counts. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Well, new this morning, Laurel County deputies say a truck and a person on a bicycle crashed. They say it happened on Kentucky 490 last night around 9:30. Deputies say the man on the bicycle, Charles Lee Johnson, died at the scene. They say the driver of the truck was uninjured. Deputies say they're still investigating the incident. And also in Laurel County, deputies say a man is behind bars for trying to drive over 3 people on Friday night. It happened Friday night off Robert E. Cox Road. When deputies arrived, Brandon Mills ran from them. Deputies say he assaulted a man before trying to drive into him, his daughter, and her child. The man was bleeding from his face, and the woman said she was punched, choked, and headbutted. Deputies arrested Mills and charged him with assault, endangerment, and several other charges. And officers with the Louisville Metro Police Department say a man faces charges over a message he sent. This is him right here. He threatened to kill school children. Police say James Grimes sent a Facebook message saying he was going to murder 9,000 kids. He also questioned how many explosives would be needed to blow up a school. Police charged Grimes with terroristic threatening. And a new report by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention paints a gruesome picture of America's opioid epidemic. In the 5 years from 2011 to 2019, the number of deaths linked to fentanyl grew more than 1,000%, from fewer than 1,700 to 18,000. The number of deaths surged across all age groups, but the greatest was among those 15 to 34 years old. And the United Nations says a group of armed attackers have killed 134 people in Mali. The massacre happened in a rural village in the central region of the country. Many of the victims are women and children. The UN believes the attackers targeted an ethnic community who are accused of having ties to jihadist organizations. CNN's David McKenzie has more.
The French ambassador to the United Nations is calling it an unspeakable act. On early Saturday in central Mali in West Africa, ethnic militia attacking a village, say the United Nations, killing at least 134 people, including mothers, women, young children even. They were able to evacuate some of those casualties in what can only be described as a massacre and the worst killing of its kind in recent times. A spokesman for the United Nations Secretary General saying the Secretary General condemns this act and calls on Malian authorities to swiftly investigate it and bring the perpetrators to justice. Mali's president on Sunday dissolved a so-called self-defense unit that has been accused of similar attacks in the past. Human Rights Watch says that these attacks are increasing and they're being exploited by jihadi groups linked to ISIS and Al-Qaeda. The U.S. has significant boots on the ground in Mali and the region, and there is a UN peacekeeping force in Mali, but it's one of its deadliest on the globe. The difficulty here is, say experts, with ISIS losing its territory in the Middle East, that future battlegrounds against groups linked to it will be fought potentially in West Africa. David McKenzie, CNN, Johannesburg.
Well, Prince Charles and his wife Camilla arrived in Cuba yesterday as part of a Caribbean tour, first British royals to visit the communist-run nation, even as an ally the United States seeks to isolate the country. The royal couple were asked by the UK government to add Cuba to their tour of former and current British territories in hopes of boosting commercial relations and political influence. The royal couple will dine with Cuba's new president, Miguel Diaz-Canel. And a Louisville man is accused of walking through a St. Stephen's cemetery, stealing flowers and other items right off a grave. Louisville Metro police officers charged James Wrights with theft. They also plan on returning the stolen items. A handful of families stopped by Saturday to replace things like stolen flowers or angels, but there was also something left for those families. An apology note from Wrights. It reads, "I'm sorry for the pain I have caused so many people. I did not mean to hurt anyone."
He does feel remorse for it. I think that says something for him and maybe a good lesson that he has learned.
Those family members say they hope Wrights learned a lesson and knows how hurtful his actions were. A woman in Leslie County is unable to get to her home due to a mudslide. Louise Coots has lived on Collins Fork for 30 years. She says a little more than a month ago, a major mudslide happened on her road, and after the county cleaned it up last week, a few days later it slipped again. It's the only way she's able to get to her home, and that's by foot.
I went up to the house, but the way the road was, it was so muddy that I was afraid to go back up there. And then this slipped off, but they'd put some gravels on. But it was real muddy.
We tried reaching out to KYTC's District 11 over the weekend, but were unable to get an answer. And Letcher County officials teamed up with their jail work release program to help make the community a little better. The Judge Executive's office supplied materials to the work release prisoners to fix potholes around the county. They started this task last week and plan to keep doing it until each of the potholes are fixed.
He said he had some materials that he could put into some potholes in our county roads, and I told him that I could supply some manpower to do that. And what we've been doing is using the work release. And those gentlemen, some of those people were actually have done blacktopping. So that's a win-win in that situation.
Bert Sloan says that he hopes to see this program grow in the future. And Doree Kelly, the ex-wife of R&B singer R. Kelly, was the guest at the second annual Women's Empowerment Brunch in Kansas on Saturday. The theme was a Survivor to Thrive Her event that centered around the topic of sexual violence against women. R. Kelly came under fire recently when he was charged with criminal sexual abuse. The accusations came after a Lifetime series called Surviving R. Kelly.
Well, you guys, it is Monday and the forecast sure does reflect it. Let's check on satellite and radar. You can see behind me plenty of green went through western, central Kentucky, now just getting into eastern Kentucky. So if it is not raining yet, it will start to rain in the next few hours. So grab the rain gear before you head out the door, and also grab the jacket. Maybe make it a rain jacket for your Monday morning, because temperatures are in the low 50s for a lot of us. 50 in Wise, 52 in Jackson, 48 in Moorhead, 40 in Harlan and Middlesboro this morning. morning. Day planner, temperatures are going to stay in the 50s for the majority of the day. We are looking at plenty of soggy weather as well, maybe a few peaks of sunshine this afternoon, but we could even see a thunderstorm or two as we head into your afternoon hours. But after today, we are done with the rain for a few days. Connor?
All right, well, thanks for joining Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. And if you've got some cash to spare, $1 million worth, you could have yourself a piece of history. We'll tell you more about what that is. And a Las Vegas high school student who has autism says he'll remember his prom for life. We'll share the heartwarming story with you.